we can do that.
All right, so it's the first ESPN Plus card. Obviously, the ESPN deal just kicking in. UFC switching from Fox to the mothership at ESPN.
The mothership.
Which only means anything to people in the U.S., really. So, like, people overseas do not care at all about this. But UFC moving to a new TV provider, it is a big deal for the business of MMA, and I think it will help grow the sport if it all goes in ways we've discussed on this show before. But this is the first card of that deal this weekend, with ESPN or UFC being on ESPN Plus, headlined by T.J. Dillashaw and Henry Cejudo, a quote-unquote super fight for Henry Cejudo's flyweight championship of the world. So we're picking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 fights on this weekend's card. The first one, Alexander Hernandez versus Donald Cerrone in the UFC lightweight division. Alexander Hernandez is a slight favorite against the longtime veteran and fan favorite Cerrone. I'm picking Donald Cerrone in this one. It's kind of the young buck versus the old guard. I think people are counting Donald Cerrone out a little bit too much, a little too early. I think he still has a lot left in him, and I think he's going to show that this weekend against Hernandez, who has a lot to prove himself. I think he's a very good fighter, and I think he could end up in the top of that lightweight division at some point. I just don't think this is going to be his stepping stone. I think Donald Cerrone shows that he still has something left in the tank this weekend.
Oh, yeah, I definitely got Donald Cerrone, too. I think he's starting to be underrated as a fighter. I think, like you said, he's still got some gas in the tank left to even make a little run from a 3-4 fight win streak that he has in previous years. Be an active fighter again this year, get some couple wins, and move up in the division.
And he's back home at lightweight, too.
Yep, so I got my boy Cerrone. Saddle up, bitch.
Saddle up, bitch.
I'm conflicted for this one because the last time Donald Cerrone changed weight classes, he went on a bit of a run, and people thought that he could be like a champion, which obviously he couldn't. I don't think he ever could have been at 170. I think his peak was about where he ended up. Whereas Alexander Hernandez has looked extremely good recently. And now he's only recently been able to take his career full time, but also his last 3 fights have been his third fight. 3 fights ago, he was not even in the UFC. Then he beat Beneil Dariush in the first round, and then wow, I'm dying.
Everybody's got noises coming out of their body right now.
Yeah. And then OAM, and that was, an incredibly impressive performance. I think that Donald Cerrone definitely does have a lot in the tank, but I think that Alexander Hernandez is very legit and that this is actually going to be a pretty solid stepping stone for him, and I have Alexander Hernandez in this one.
Fuck you. The next fight we're picking on this card, Glover Teixeira is the slight favorite against a late replacement, I think, in Karl Roberson. Looking at Roberson's resume, he has not fought anybody in the UFC. I don't have a lot of faith in Glover Teixeira anymore, but Karl Roberson has not fought anybody. Maybe this is when he comes out. Maybe this is when he proves himself. But just based on his experience, how long he's been around, and the guys that he's fought, I'm picking Glover Teixeira. Brendan's yawning. I'm going to kill time. Bryce.
I'm not ready for my deep analysis yet. I was looking up Karl Roberson.
No. Did you hear about the Italian chef?
Uh-oh.
Italian chef?
He passed away.
Oh. That's bad.
I have Karl Roberson. He's 7-1 in the UFC. Gonna move on to 8-1. I think Glover Teixeira is way past his time, and Karl Roberson is beginning his time. So,
fuck you.
Fuck Glover.
I also have Karl Roberson, but I just don't have a whole lot to say. I think Glover Teixeira just isn't that good anymore. But he'll probably, now that I said that, knock him out.
The next fight on this card, kind of a bit well talked about fight, and kind of a big fight in the flyweight division or strawweight division, and I think it's going to be a very looked at fight, for lack of a better word. Paige VanZant taking on Rachel Ostrovich. VanZant a -155 favorite, Ostrovich the +135 underdog. Just based on experience, I'm picking Paige VanZant in this one. Obviously, Rachel's a very capable fighter, and if she gets a win in this one, I think it's going to do big things for her at 115. Like, that's a legitimately big win for somebody if she can pull this off. The first ESPN card against Paige VanZant. It's a big fight for Rachel, and I definitely think she can win. I'm giving the edge to Paige VanZant based on experience and some impressive wins she's had in the past. I don't think Paige is exactly a world beater, but I think
this is at flyweight, by the way.
Oh, it is at flyweight. She also had some enhancements. I don't know if she can get to 115 anymore either.
She got her boobs.
You didn't
upgraded?
notice?
No. I gotta check that out.
But yeah, I think Paige has a slight edge in this one, and I give her. I'm gonna give her the win.
I had Paige as well. It kind of sucks. I was a big Paige VanZant fan, but she kind of sucks now. Her potential that she had is thrown out the window. She's not as hyped as she once was, being a young fighter and coming up in the UFC. So it kind of sucks, but I still have Paige VanZant.
She's still so young though. Like we might. It's not necessarily over for Paige VanZant yet. Like she still could be a star. She could be like one of the top fighters because she is so young. But I do agree that like the expectations have come back down to earth for sure on Paige.
Yeah. I also have Paige in this. In terms of like her expectations early on in her career, she never looked super good.
Yeah.
Like she never looked like a world beater in any certain category. She obviously had that jumping switch kick KO against Beck Rawlings, but she's never been a technical fighter. She's never been particularly great on the ground. She was young and she was winning.
And she was hot.
Yeah.
Can I make
Hot as fuck.
And so I don't think that
She doesn't post her
she had
body
a whole
enough.
lot to learn, and she ended up not learning it, and I don't think she's ever going to be a world beater.
Can I make a confession here?
What's up?
When Rose and Paige fought on Fight Pass back in the day, I think it was International Fight Week. I think they headlined a card. When that fight happened, I was so adamant that Paige was going to destroy Rose Namajunas. Like I thought I was so sure that was going to happen.
And I feel like it didn't work out that way.
I just have to confess my sins on that one. I'm sorry.
Time out. Pause.
Time out.
pause.
What's going on?
I don't know. All right, look at that.
We're comparing titty pictures here.
Look at that.
All right.
Flat chest. You can see a little titty lip.
Sports bra though.
And then boom, shot out back.
Exactly. Stepped up her game. I'm
How-
sorry, podcast listeners. I don't know what
Paige
we're doing here.
VanZant, tell your
You guys are
husband.
pigs.
Tell your husband, fuck him. I'll pay you $20 to see your titties.
All right. Wild thing. Bryce, did you make a pick?
Yes, I picked Paige.
Okay.
Let's move on.
This is the most attractive UFC fight of all time, right?
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking.
All right.
Kind of sucks she's married. I thought I had a chance.
It's weird that Paige is married.
Yeah, and the fact that her husband couldn't even get in the UFC.
Her husband isn't Sage Northcutt is weird.
Yeah,
Paige and Sage were meant to be. Let's be honest.
they were.
All right. Joseph Benavidez is taking on our good friend Dustin Ortiz in a flyweight bout, which is a division that's in question right now. So, not sure how much implications this fight will have, but an interesting one nonetheless. Joseph Benavidez, the minus 240 favorite. Dustin Ortiz, a plus 200 underdog. I think Joseph Benavidez is probably the greatest flyweight ever, not named Demetrius Johnson or Henry Cejudo. So I think he takes a win here. Like I said, I don't know how much it'll mean because we don't know where the division's going. But obviously, he's trying to make a case for a title shot if the division does stick around. So I'm going to pick Joseph Benavidez to pull this one out.
I have Joseph Benavidez. He's another one of those fighters that he hasn't been that same fighter as he was previously in his career, but that's expected as you start to get older. How old is Benavidez? Like 33? I feel like he's 33.
Yeah, 33, 34.
34.
Oof, what a guess.
What a guess, Brendan. But yeah, I mean, like, if you think about it, 33, I guess 30s is the prime of a UFC fighter.
Joseph
but,
Benavidez has been around a long time, though.
yeah,
Yeah.
he's well past that, but I still have him. I guess if you want, like, Buju's expertise, he's the experienced fighter, so I got to go with him.
I also have Benavidez. I think that Ortiz is getting better. He's won his last 3, 2 of them by finish in the first round. But I just don't think he's quite there to get over the hump that is Joseph Benavidez.
And kind of a theme so far on this card, this would be a huge win for Dustin Ortiz if he can pull it out.
Yeah, it would be.
Gregor Gillespie.
But again, we don't even know if the division's going to be around next week. So
Right. Gregor Gillespie taking on Yancy Medeiros. Gregor Gillespie is a big favorite in this fight. Minus 535 to Yancy Medeiros as plus 420. 420. Blah. Gregor Gillespie is an extremely well-rounded MMA fighter. I think he can win anywhere this goes because Yancy Medeiros, while he's very entertaining, very fun guy to watch, and a guy I root for, he's pretty much a brawler, and I think the game has kind of passed him by a little bit. I love Yancy Medeiros. I'm always excited to see him fight, but I think Gregor Gillespie is a much, much better fighter, and I think he wins no matter what happens in this fight.
The odds tell it all. I got Gillespie.
Yep. I really booed you. That's high quality stuff there.
Thanks, pal. I thought there was going to be something after that. The co-main event of the evening, Greg Hardy is it? I think this is the co-main event. That's at least what it was listed on you.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Okay. Greg Hardy minus 530 favorite. Alan Crowder plus 420. 420. Underdog. I don't know anything about Alan Crowder. Literally nothing. I think I've heard his name before, but I assume there's a reason that he's the guy that they're putting against Greg Hardy in Greg Hardy's main roster debut. I think Greg Hardy goes in there and smashes this guy because that's what the UFC wants. They want him to go on ESPN Plus in front of the biggest platform of sports fans available to them, and he's going to demolish a guy for the goof.
I think it's wild that this is his first UFC fight in like the actual UFC, not like whatever
The Contender Series.
the Contender Series or whatever. But I think it's crazy that he is the co-main. He obviously is that guy that you want to put in that spotlight because he's that guy that can bring in fans because he has the knockout power and all that stuff to attract fans and bring in fan base. But this is his first UFC fight. I don't think he deserves it.
Okay, are you picking Greg Hardy?
I'm picking Greg Hardy, but I'm picking Greg Hardy, but I don't think he deserves the co-main.
I think we've kind of talked about. Bryce, go ahead and make your pick before I do.
Go make
this.
a pick.
I also have Greg Hardy, and go ahead because I definitely have some thoughts on this.
He has
Well,
some thoughts on it.
if there's some.
Oh, also before we do go on, Alan Crowder, we actually saw him fight live. He fought in the Detroit card. He lost to Justin Willis.
I was kind of wondering about that. So, if we have some discussion on the co-main event spot for Greg Hardy, let's go ahead and make our main event pick first. TJ Dillashaw and Henry Cejudo. It's for Henry Cejudo's belt at 125 pounds. Kind of some questions on whether TJ Dillashaw will make 125, but he's a pro. I think he makes it. He is a minus 200 favorite. Henry Cejudo, the plus 170 underdog. Obviously, Cejudo coming off of that big win against Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson. We kind of spoiled it last week when we made our championship predictions, but I think TJ Dillashaw takes this fight. I think he's a better fighter. Cejudo, obviously a better wrestler, but I think TJ Dillashaw is extremely well-versed in that part of the game as well. So I think he can handle most of what Henry Cejudo throws at him. TJ's obviously a better striker. I think he has better cardio. I think TJ Dillashaw is the clear better fighter in this one. I think he takes the win against Henry Cejudo, and I hope he takes the win against Henry Cejudo.
All right. What are the odds that Cejudo does some weird shit? Like he fucking like twists his ankle and fucking fights on one
I
leg?
forgot all about that he twisted his ankle immediately in the Mighty Mouse fight.
And the weirdest thing is, like, wasn't he like, even though he twisted his ankle, he was fighting weird. Like, what was he doing? Was he fighting on one leg, or he kept rolling his ankle or some shit over and over
Yeah,
and
He
over?
rolled it. It looked like 2 or 3 times.
He
in
twisted
that
his
fight.
ankle 117 times in that fight.
Which is so crazy. Like, I'm still mind blown on it. Like, how in the fuck do you do that?
Nobody's ever been more freaked out than Brendan was when that happened.
Like, I was like, I remember I was tripping. I was like, what the fuck's going on? You guys see that? And you guys were like acting calm. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Am I
It was
crazy?
very weird.
You guys acting like it was normal and shit. But it was really weird. But in saying that, I got Dillashaw. I think he's faster. He's better fighter. Most important, I think he's better a better striker than Cejudo, and I believe the fight will stay standing up. So
I also have TJ Dillashaw.
Should be a really fun fight.
Should
be a really fun fight.
It should be a really good fight. To sum it up, I think that Cejudo has had the opportunity to fight at 135. He chose to go back down to 125 for a reason. I think that he's just not good enough to compete with the best of the best at 135. And TJ Dillashaw is going to come down to his weight and show him what's up.
Does everybody here think TJ Dillashaw makes weight?
Yeah, I think that the bigger question mark is Henry Cejudo, honestly.
That's a fair point. Like, everybody's talking about whether TJ makes weight or not. Henry's kind of a question mark himself.
Yeah, he's missed weight like 3 or 4 times early in his UFC career.
Mm-hmm.
I think he makes weight.
TJ's a pro. I have no doubt that this fight's going to happen Saturday
And he also looks smaller than he does at 135. I don't know if you saw any pictures of him recently, but he's in full Ninja Turtle mode without a doubt.
I'm going with it. He's knocking him out.
All right.
Mic drop.
I think
Beach.
if he wins, I think that's definitely a way he does.
He knocked out Garbrandt. He
TJ
didn't knock him out, but he TKO'd him, didn't he?
Yeah, he might have. I don't know. TJ could win a decision too, though. Like,
Yeah.
I like TJ. Do we like TJ?
We like TJ, but we
I
like
like
Cruz
TJ.
more. I like Cruz.
Yeah,
more.
I like Cruz more for sure. Do we like Cejudo? I don't really like Cejudo.
He aight.
Yeah. I'm indifferent.